This show is brought to you by Databril, the scalable Amazon PPC management for large Amazon sellers and brands. Visit sellersessions.com/agency for more details. Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Today we bring back our good friend Anthony Lee. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, good. So first time we've touched on Instagram on the show. You've been doing a lot of work in and around that. So today what we want to talk about is from the organic side. Another episode we can look at the paid end of the spectrum. But I think really what we want to cover on the show is some of the discoveries that you've had with building a brand and how people can just pretty much do it with some free tools, a bit of elbow grease and using their brain basically. So do you want to get proceedings underway? Just give us a bit of background or a bit of a case study on what you've been doing in the background in terms of building on Instagram.
Sure, absolutely. As I'm sure that you know by now, I am an advocate of kind of building a brand. I kind of straddle this weird line, though, between going full on with building out that brand and looking for cash flow opportunities. I think there's probably a nice balance in between. But in the process of the brand building part, everybody always says the money's in the audience, and they're not wrong. But if you're talking about an audience, I think a lot of marketers, they immediately go to, oh, well, then that means I need to build an email list. Why? Because that's what marketers teach. The thing is yes, email's still there, but that's not where the majority of people are right now. Like in some niches, absolutely, email kills it. But, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten an email about a physical product and then actually chose to buy through that email. Actually, I can tell you, I don't think it's ever happened. And that's just not, that's just the world that we live in right now. That's just not the most effective way to get in front of people.
I think people buy courses through these emails, like when you've got affiliate marketers selling to wannabe affiliate marketers, that kind of Ponzi scheme stacking stuff. I think that's where people buy, don't they?
They do, but I've never bought, garlic press through an email advertisement before. So, that's what we're talking about here is people wanting to build out physical products.
Physical products, yeah.
So anyway, if you're going to build an audience, obviously there's been a lot of talk about chatbot messenger lists, which I think is phenomenal. That's definitely the place to go. But one of my heroes, one of a lot of people's heroes, Gary Vee, he's been talking for probably 5-6 years now about the power of Instagram and how everybody's going there. There's not even a question now, if you sell a product, well, is your audience even on Instagram? Look, like I said earlier, unless you're selling arthritis cream, chances are your audience is on Instagram at this point. Like it's that pervasive. Everybody uses it now. It's kind of incredible how easy it was for people to adopt. Anyway, so if we go ahead and just accept that it's a foregone conclusion that your audience is probably your customers are probably on Instagram, then that becomes a viable place for you to also build your audience, rather than only build it in one place. If you're going to build a list, that's cool, but it's also really important to take advantage of the platforms where your audience are and build there too. So I'm a firm advocate of using Instagram to help build that brand presence. Now, myself and a couple of colleagues of mine have spent some time doing this. Probably about a year and a half ago, we started playing around with like the bots, some of the services before they got shut down by Instagram, and really kind of looking at what both gurus and then normal people and their testing, what they were doing, what we were able to achieve, and we kind of cobbled together some sense of things that work. And when I say work, here's the thing. You're going to see a lot, probably in the near future too, a lot of people pushing, the power of influencer marketing, the power of making videos that go viral and just doing it really big on Instagram. And I'm telling you, there's some guys out there that are super capable. And I am not going to claim that I'm one of those people. This isn't like how you're going to get 50,000 followers in 48 hours session. This is if you run a brand and you want a place that has a growing audience where, hey, you need some sales. It's a slow day. run a 15% off promo and go and grab 6, 8, 12, 15, 20 sales like that. This is how you do it. That's not going to make you rich, but it's definitely going to help your cause. And that's what I've been able to achieve with one of my brands. And that's what a buddy of mine was actually able to achieve as well for his brand. Just, a few thousand people that are engaged, that like the stuff that you post. And when you post a deal, they take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Real simple.
Makes sense. Okay. So let's break this down. Let's just say you've got guys out there focused on sponsored ads, some external traffic. Maybe they've been using Facebook to do giveaways. They want to look at building some organic audience, shall we say, that's something where they can maintain. So talk us through the first steps. What are the first approaches? Like if you take a look at your product line, what should you do then in terms of extrapolating what that data says to jumping onto IG?
Well, I think there's a couple of different ways that you can go about it. You can be a person so for starters, if you are already heavily using Instagram, let's say this is just part of what you do, right? Like if my wife was running one of our brands, she would totally be the face of that brand on Instagram because she, takes pictures of all her food and blah, 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 blah. If you're one of those people, then maybe you want to just go ahead and be the face. Maybe you're like me. You didn't grow up with Instagram. Instagram is still kind of a foreign object for you. What I did was I just started an Instagram business page for my brand. Like the page was called The Brand. And I still think that's probably a good idea. But if you wanted to be like the face, it could be like Anthony @ or whatever. You don't necessarily want to trick people into thinking that, you're not representing a commercial enterprise. But how you post is entirely up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. See, I don't post Instagram a whole lot. So I just made a business page and I made no illusions whatsoever about what that business page was going to post. It's going to post stuff. And I did post a lot of stuff from my life as well, but I also posted deals. But like I said, however you feel comfortable posting. So you create the page, make the icon, the picture, either like mine was literally our brand logo, or you can make it your face. If you, like I said, if you're going to be the face of your brand or whatever, but the whole idea is this page is going to represent your brand, either directly or indirectly through you, but this page is your brand page essentially. So, you start with that. And I think when you if you're brand new to Instagram, I think you have to find some people to follow or whatever. You go through that. I mean, that's a normal process, just like you were doing it on Facebook or whatever. The important thing though is the actual content, right? So, and this is actually the biggest challenge too, because a lot of people are like, "Oh man, I need content. I need content. Where do I get that though?" Right? Let's say you're a guy and you don't typically wear makeup, but let's say you happen to be selling makeup online right now because that's where you found an opportunity to make money, right? How are you going to post on Instagram about makeup when you don't wear it and you're not the target demographic? This is a challenge. Where do we get this content?
Yeah.
And that's the key. So the key is you don't have to use your own content. You can leverage other people's content. So the very first place that I started and where I would suggest people start is a little trick I learned from, somebody sent me a YouTube video. Anyway, it was a lot more elaborate, but I simplified it and made it for my own, the strategy. But essentially what you do is you just search for relevant hashtags. And when I say relevant hashtags, I don't mean you have to get really super deep in this. You don't need anything like a hashtag generator. Literally go to your long tail keywords that you've already done your research on, find a couple that seem relevant and search for that, right? If you sell a garlic press, look for cooking hashtags, home chef, home cooking, love garlic, that kind of thing, right? You search for a hashtag.
Yeah, so basically, just for anyone that's used AdWords, it's contextual targeting, isn't it? So you look for categories. So you might, like you just said, is that if it's a garlic press, you'll look for cooking because that's the broader picture. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No, that's a very good clarification. So you look for the hashtag in the search bar, And then for any hashtag, the top 9 results are always the most popular. Those are like the viral results or whatever. And then below that is the most recent, right? So then what you do is you find a video, one that's popular. Either it's already gone viral, or maybe it has quite a few likes in the most recent one. One that's popular, one that looks relevant. Maybe it's cute, maybe it's funny. It doesn't really matter. The point is it's entertaining. And then you repost it, and then make sure that you attribute the original poster and put a comment in there like, you know anybody, tag somebody that you know who does this, or you know anybody who does it this way, ? You know what I mean? And that's it. And then that's your content. Do that 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. What you're going to do is you're going to start finding people who run across the video, but they're going to do it in your timeline. You're going to do it in your feed. And then they're going to like it in your feed. They're going to comment on it in your feed, and they're going to follow you. And why would they follow you? Because you guys have the same interests. So you're actually leveraging other people's content, other people's virality in building your own base of content, right? And then you can sprinkle some stuff in there too with like text posts. Like there's apps that allow you to like create a little canvas and then write something. So you don't actually have to take pictures of your food or your makeup or your family if that's not your thing. Put a quote on a text board and then post that up, and then repost other people's viral videos and viral images. And that's your content. You're a curator at that point that contributes words every now and again. And you can actually start there. And that's super simple.
So for clarity, as I said before we start the show, I don't invest any time into IG for the nature of the products that I sell. So it's not been something that I've invested time. Years and years ago, I used one to test where I was posting different quotes. There might be sports quote, inspirational quotes, but it's mainly like a quote account just to get a vibe of what's going on there, and then setting up the hashtags. But it sounds like to me is that you're literally you're just doing attribution. So you're taking everyone else's content without creating any of your own. So where will people find this content? They literally search on IG, go, oh, that looks good, that's going viral, and then repost it and crediting them, like attribution. Mm-hmm. So you literally could get a VA to do that all day long, really. Not that you would.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. No, that's the thing, is you totally could do that. Like it's real simple. And some guys, some people, like that's their whole strategy, is they actually like the guys who I learned this particular strategy from, who had the video, like they were next level about it. They actually took clips of all of the viral videos that they reposted, mashed them together in their own video, and then submitted it to like user generated or user submission accounts, so it would get reposted with follow us on IG, and they ended up with like tens of thousands of followers over the course of a few hours. It was nuts. Yeah. That's the next level stuff. See, if you want to get that deep into it, you can. But for me, it's like, look, if you run a brand, this is just a super simple, and it doesn't take that much time at all. It's a super simple way to generate some content, start getting some engagement for your brand with an Instagram account, all with free tools.
So let's give a scenario then. So walk me through a scenario. Let's just say you've got high-end jewelry, okay, that you sell on Amazon. Maybe they range from £10 to £25 to £35. I say high-end because, jewelry can be like £2, whatever. But give an example there, because obviously it's much more attractive. It's generally going to appeal, if it's ladies' jewelry, to females. Then what would you do in that scenario if you've got a range of 30, 40, 50, maybe more SKUs? Because you can take advantage of your product images there, can't you?
Oh, yes.
So would you like do mashups, like use an app, for instance, like where you can do text overlay onto these images, where you can do special offers, or you can bring the variations of these products together. So, like you can put them into 4 quadrants, and then put title text and stuff. There's so many things that could be done here, isn't there? So really it's about, how do you put together a content planner? So do you have a planner where you write a list of things in a spreadsheet? Much like blog posts. If people do a search online for content planning, you'd use maybe the Google display keyword tool. You might use some Facebook tools, just various search tools to get some ideas for content, wouldn't you? And then you build these columns, and then you have these release dates. And there's certain, and I don't use it, but there's certain social tools where you can post and set timelines for. So give me some ideas here for the audience.
I really wish that I was that structured about it, but when I did it, I wasn't, because I mean, I'm being honest, as you know, a physical product seller, growing the Instagram following wasn't my priority. My priority was the paid advertising and stuff. So this is what I was doing on the side to help bolster things.
Yeah.
And in doing that, really all I did was set aside part of my schedule. So rather than have a planner, I just said, okay, well, this time on these days, I'm going to spend reposting. Mm-hmm. And then this time on these days, I'm going to spend doing another method I'll share in a second. And then whenever I have deals, which I did have a calendar for that, right? Like when I knew I was going to run promos or deals of any kind, then I would put that in the calendar. Like, I'm going to share this because on this date, I'm going to have a promo code, or I'm going to be running this ad on Facebook. I want to go ahead and share it with the Instagram audience as well. And that kind of thing. So, I mean, I'm like super low effort approach to this. Yeah. Just because I know that your average, entrepreneur is not going to be like, okay, I'm about to spend an hour a day focused on nothing but Instagram. It's like many will. And if you do, then you'll probably be way more successful than me at this. But if you're, hey, I'm just trying to figure out how to get this out there, then this is a really good strategy. So that was, where I would say start. Just get it in your head that you can share other people's content. And then you can also share information about your product, use the images, put text overlays, do promos, etc. The next thing, and actually this has gone around on Facebook. A lot of people probably saw it. Gary V's got a really cool little strategy. He calls it the 18 cents strategy. Basically, it's leave a comment. That's your 2 cents, right? So remember when I said when you search for a hashtag, it shows you the top 9 results. So he says search for a hashtag, and for each of one of those top 9 results, leave a comment. That's your 2 cents. 2 cents times 9 is 18 cents. Your 18-cent strategy at that point is to just engage with other popular posters. Now, these are the influencers. These are the guys that are posting the viral content. I mean, a lot of them are not going to ever say anything to you, but their followers might. Or even if they don't engage with you, they'll see your comment. If it was funny to them, if they agree with it, they'll like it, they may follow you too. So this is another way. This is on top of, curating the viral content. You also kind of curate engagement through that method. So you combine those, and again, this does not take a lot of time. Like, we're talking about a 15-minute a day strategy and another 15-minute a day strategy. So you might be at a total half an hour a day, and you don't even have to do that every day of the week. And you're getting the ball rolling, right? The other thing, now that's the free stuff. Okay. There are paid tools that you can use to do things to accelerate.
Yeah.
I want to preface this by saying Instagram, it's against their terms to use a bot. Mm-hmm. They don't want any fake activity on their site. They've actually put a few of these bot services out of business. With that said, I personally use a program. I say program because a lot of the bot services were services that you subscribe to. I bought a program that I downloaded on my computer for a one-time cost. Mm-hmm. And what it does is it automates some of the kind of mundane processes. So things like liking, following, etc., unfollowing.
Yeah.
And the reason I do that is because I don't go crazy with it. Like 10,000 new follows a day, like that obviously looks obvious. I keep it to where it's only on during hours that I'm normally on the computer anyway. And it's very organic looking. It just kind of helps. It's almost like having another person, so if you hire a VA, this is like having another VA that's just doing all this stuff. And, it costs $50 a year. So it's like super cheap for a VA to be doing a bunch of stuff on top of whoever else is actually managing your account. And those likes and those follows will garner likes and follows for you. Mm-hmm. And as long as you go in there and cull the list, like take out anybody that doesn't make sense, because sometimes, you know, it's hashtags aren't a perfect science, then you'll get people that actually belong there, and those people will respond to the posts that you're reposting, or the text, you know, quotes, or the promos, or just the pictures of your product, like, and that's what you want. And then, you know, the last thing is, whenever you do decide to bring your stuff off of Amazon, there are a couple of tools. There's a Shopify app actually that does this. I think it's called Social Share. But essentially, there's a couple tools that you can use to automate the reposting of pictures with specific hashtags. And the reason why you'd want to do that through Shopify is because this was kind of like the big aha moment I had when I was doing my stuff on Instagram. I saw a friend of mine who's doing like 5 million a year, and a lot of that is off of Amazon, like not on Amazon. And that was where I was just like, how, you know, I remember he showed me his account. He made like 10 grand in one day off of Facebook ads to his Shopify store. And I was just like, how is this possible, dude? Like, what are you doing? And I was looking at his social media stuff, and the really cool thing was his Instagram. He was nothing but user-generated content. And when I say user-generated content, I don't mean curating other people's content. I mean, like, literally every one of the posts was a person using his product. So that's when he told me about Social Share, and I was looking at it, and essentially what they had set up was a series of contests or other things that got people to post a picture of them using the product with a specific hashtag. Like, you know, enter to win, you can be our customer of the month or customer of the week. We'll post you on our Instagram. Or, you know, enter to win this free product, and then you'll also be, customer of the whatever, like just a bunch of different little contests and stuff to get people to submit pictures. And they posted on their own Instagram accounts with the specific hashtag of them using the product. And then this app automatically reshared it. So if you go to their Instagram account, the whole thing is contest, promo, picture of somebody using their product, picture of somebody using their product, picture of somebody using their product, can you imagine how powerful that's got to be for anybody that goes to that account?
Yeah, definitely. And it's like what you said about the competitions, which sprung to mind there. If you're selling, like if you're running a women's brand and you're selling makeup, for instance, you can do it before and after. You know, not everyone wants to not show their face without makeup, or it can be compared to other brands. It's like the brand I normally wear, but here's your brand. So you can do it on like 2 shots on the face, which can then be collated onto Instagram and saying this is the person using our product against the competitor's product. And this is how the differentiation and what it looks like.
So those are the 4 almost free and extraordinarily inexpensive ways that take very little effort of actually growing a sizable following for your brand on Instagram. So I'll go over them again. Curate viral content, comment on viral content, automate mundane processes, and use user-generated content one way or another. Whether you have a Shopify site or not, like you can still run those contests. Get your buyers to get involved in your Instagram account so you can use their content too. None of those take you personally living on Instagram and showing your life. And if you want to do that, that's even better, because then that's even more content.
Yeah.
But all of that is like super easy ways to generate content and followers, and these people will be engaged. And over time, when it grows, like once it's a sizable force, I have a colleague, for example, that did mostly this. And within a few months, he had 6,000 followers. Once he had 6,000 followers on Instagram, which is not huge. I mean, you know, but it's still like micro.
But it's micro influence,
right?
Yeah.
So, and he was a brand. Like his picture was a logo. Like he was a brand. And he didn't even post that much. But he had 6,000 followers that were engaged, that like to comment on stuff that he did post. And when he had that, he joined the vendor program, and needed to make some sales on to Amazon 1P quick, because you know how that works.
Yeah.
Like if they issue a PO, you have to get rid of those units fast so that they'll issue another PO. And he just put out there, he was like, hey guys, I need to sell these, so we're selling at this price right now. He ran a contest, I think, like if, I'll randomly select 3 people and send you guys a free bottle, etc. And I mean, he sold out in hours.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, that's exactly what that's there for, because think about what it's going to be like when he's got 60,000.
Yeah. So realistically, because obviously we're a no-nonsense show, so we're not going to talk tens, hundreds, and thousands. You said 6,000 in a few months. So let's break that down, what it possibly could look at, because I know we don't have fixed numbers here, but I just want to give people a realistic view, because people go, oh, right, I'll jump on Instagram. They go, well, Danny and Anthony said that, and it didn't work out to be X. So what we're looking at, so let's just say if someone dedicates, this is just upfront hours, let's say you spend 2 hours, 3 hours a week on this, and maybe just do it, somehow work out, do it in batches so that you've got an idea of the content that you want to post. Maybe you get your VA to keep an eye on stuff. So your VA's got other jobs, but to fill their time, you might be able to say, right, each day I want you to go there, search for these hashtags, and just come up with a bit of an idea of a planner. Because at the end of the day, you can start off really well, and then after 4 or 5 days, flame out. So it makes sense. I mean, to give you an example, it's not like we're a social platform, but with seller sessions, all the shows are recorded in batches. I couldn't possibly do 12 shows a month without, the team behind me, and without batch recording. Because if we didn't do that, then we wouldn't be able to put out so many shows, and it's too disruptive for the day-to-day running of the business. So we have to be very lean and very clever in our approach. And that's how we treat everything that we do. That's why I love paid search in most cases over social. Because to me, social can be a bit flowery, and there's no real, it's not always tangible, and you don't always going to know when you're going to grow. But with PPC, you can forecast for that. You've got a general idea. As long as I'm in this position, I've got the right product, blah, blah, blah. This is the kind of search volume there. This is the real data. I can extrapolate that information and get a general idea of whether it's going to be worth my time or not. But social is very difficult. So what would you say to put in the hours up front for people that are listening? What should they do, the steps?
Well, I mean, like I said, don't take a whole lot of time. Just do those 4 things and spend maybe 20, 30 minutes, 4 or 5 times. Like if you're in front of your computer doing this 5 days a week, just do that, right? Maybe while you're doing something on the computer, because a lot of times it takes a little while to load, because you're going to do most of this stuff from your phone anyway, because that's where Instagram is. It starts out slow. Typically, it's like the first couple thousand take forever. I think it took me like 4 or 5 months just to get to just under 2,000. But like then there's a tipping point where a lot of people start following you, and that's when you really start kind of seeing those results.
Is that algorithmic? Do you think? Is there something there where it's almost like
it's possible?
Yeah.
It really is. I don't know. I mean, it really could be possible though, but it does seem like that. It's like that uphill climb to like 1,500 is just crazy. And then after that, it's like, oh, well, that was, crazy how much that's growing. But anyway, but like I said, you don't have to make that part a huge focus. That's just the organic. And what I just described to you is kind of what's possible, right? 6 months down the line, you could have a few thousand followers that are engaged enough to take advantage of deals whenever you put them out there, which is, like I said, just to help and bolster. Now that account can definitely be used for other things, such as influencer marketing, which we won't touch on now. That can be touched on in a different episode. But the point is your Instagram account, because there's also paid Instagram ads. Like there's a bunch of other things you can do. This is just the organic stuff to kind of help, move everything along. And it's not bad to assign to somebody that you have on your team, or like I said, I was doing it myself. I mean, because literally before bed, because I'm 12 hours ahead of everybody in the States, I would just be like, all right, well, let's go ahead and do this now. And then it would do its thing while I was sleeping. And it was perfectly fine that way. And it does help. And then like I said, it gives you that basis to do other things that could be way more powerful.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool. Let's wrap that there. Is there anything you want to add before we go?
No. It's always a pleasure to be on the show and talk about this kind of stuff. I really hope people experiment a little. And for anybody out there that has already been kind of killing it in their own little way with Instagram, it would be awesome to actually hear some of those stories, because I don't feel like enough people talk about those like little organic wins, right? We only hear about, oh, well, I got 150,000 followers because I did this video that went viral, or I have like celebrity endorsement influencers. It's like, let's hear about some of the realistic stuff.
No, I mean, I'd like to hear some stories. If there's members of the audience who've got some good strategies they're happy to share, that we can let other people know on seller sessions in this area, hit me up, Danny at sellersessions.com. That's DANNY at sellersessions.com. Anthony, what about you, if they want to reach out to you as well?
Please go to Facebook, look for the unofficial Anthony Lee page, and then, interact with my wonderful bot there, because that guy is almost as cool as I am.
Andy will answer you very quickly, no matter what time of the day. Yeah, excellent. Cool. All right, guys, thank you very much for joining us today. Anthony, thanks for joining us. If this is your first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you again in a few days. Take care.